there was always this thought at the back of our mind that we wanted to sort of go back and give it back to the society, do something in our own country. Today, it's a much different India. Everything it's a digital India where things happen easily. One foot in India, one foot in Australia. It never works that way. It never works when you compare India to another country. Somewhere you feel you've done the right decisions.
Yes.
When they are successful and they are happy.
Yes, exactly.
That is what we call what we do as a urban-rural partnership.
Okay.
Where there are a lot of expats. So in Bangalore, for instance, if you were to live in Indiranagar or certain other places where there are a lot of NRIs that have come back.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Desi Return. Today, I'm really excited to have Miss Rashmi on our show. So they went to Singapore in 1992, and after living 12 years abroad in Singapore and in Australia, the family has decided to move back to India in 2004. And they have started a social impact business. I think, helping the rural women help out with the arts and crafts. And then they have built this company called Itsy Bitsy, which is located in 39 locations and empowering and bringing a lot of, unique designs. It's almost like a mini Michaels in India. And I'm really excited to have this discussion, especially from someone who have lived in abroad for 12 years, understand the dynamics there, and after returning, and it's been almost 20 years, to really understand how the life is in India after the move, and the kids' education, how they, went to the college and how they adapted, and someone who went through this entrepreneur journey. Lot of things to learn, and I'm really excited to have you on our show and, welcome to our podcast. So thank you very much for taking the time and being with us today.
Thank you, Avinash. Really happy to be here and share my journey with you.
Yeah, really appreciate it. So let's start a bit about your background and the life in abroad.
Yeah. So, in 92, after I got married, I went and joined my husband who was living in Singapore. So we worked for a Chinese company that was importing Indian handicrafts. We were actually instrumental in importing it, but we did it for a Chinese company. And it was really nice. I enjoyed our life in Singapore. But after a couple of years, we felt it was a little too small for our ambitions. And, we thought we wanted to move to a larger country. So we migrated to Australia. And uh, we lived there for about 10 years, lived for a number of years in Sydney. And then where we worked for a retail chain, large discount retail chain. My husband worked as a buyer, and I was in charge of their wholesale part of the business. So that was a very nice learning we had, and they were aggressive retailers. So we got exposed to the retail business overseas. And then after a few years, we thought, the entrepreneurial itch started. So we wanted to do something on our own. So we quit the job and took a bold move of starting our own store. This was called New Age Bazaar. And this was a store that sold Indian handicrafts. And then we moved to Melbourne. So where my husband worked for a chocolate manufacturing company, and I worked for a plastic hose manufacturing company. So that gave us a lot of exposure and insights into manufacturing as well. So, yeah, I mean, we enjoyed that. But then there was always this thought at the back of our mind that we wanted to sort of go back and give it back to the society, do something in our own country which could impact the society. So, and we also wanted to kind of move back when the kids were still young. So, when my older daughter was about 8 years and my younger daughter was about just over an year, we moved back. We just packed our bags, sold our house in Melbourne, and just landed in India. It was just a leap of faith
Yeah.
that we took. We didn't think too much about it. We just wanted to come and figure it out here. So yeah, and in while I was in Australia again, I did some courses in graphic designing. So we sort of had all these different skills, retail, wholesale, manufacturing, graphic designing, everything which we couldn't connect the dots back then.
Yeah.
We didn't know how it would be useful. All we wanted to do was something where we could give it back to the society.
Got it.
We didn't want to do something. It was not like, okay, let's make money, then give it back to the society. We thought, let's do something while we are working. We will do it in our own small way, do something that can impact the people. So that was the thought process behind it. And we jumped right into it. Yeah.
Okay. No, thanks a lot for sharing that. So sounds like I think it's the giving back and the social impact. I think that sounds like the driving factor for you to decide.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I know you also mentioned that it's there in the back of the mind, right, about moving to. So if you can talk, like, is it something that's been there for a long time, or is it something during the last, like, few visits to India, like, when this thought
Yeah.
occurred, and then when it solidified by 2004, right? I think 20
Yeah.
years is a long time, and you can get settled and get comfort with the process, the systems, everything, and for making that big change, something has to be so driven, and something has to be a big trigger to make the decision and make the change. So just
Yeah.
curious on that. Yeah.
Yeah. So we were always in touch with India. We always, every year, I mean, if not twice or thrice, we would come at least once. My husband used to travel more frequently because he was working as a buyer, importing things of Indian origin. So he traveled to remote parts of India. He probably traveled 1 million miles to remote corners of India, where he saw that there was a lot of skill in the people, but then there were a lot of women that were kind of unemployed, and yeah. So he used to come and tell me that stories about all these people, and it's sort of somewhere we thought, if we could make a little difference in their lives. We didn't know how, we didn't know what we would do, but that thought was always there.
Yeah.
And since I mean, we used to bring kids. It was not like kids were not aware of India. We wanted to make sure they're very much in touch with the roots.
Yeah.
So that also helped us. And yeah, and in 2004, the kids were like, the older one was about 8 years. We thought, if we want to go back, let's do it now rather than wait. Once the kids grow older, it's a little difficult for them to uproot them from another country and bring them back to India. So we thought, let's do it now. And yeah,
Got it.
if
So,
not now, when
okay.
was the question?
It's the leap of the
So we
faith,
just
and it's the timing, just let's seize it and
yes,
then just make a something
yes,
that's actionable. So
yeah,
let's start with, like, how did you choose, like, which place you want to move back? Is it because you have the
yeah,
family back there in a particular city in India? Like, how did you select a particular location where you want to move back to?
yeah,
Because you're also
yeah,
thinking from a social impact perspective. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. So our thought was to do it in the rural, but then we are from Bangalore. We both are from Bangalore. So we thought, yes, let's start with Bangalore. So we sort of got the factory built purpose. We took a place. Our family helped us find the place. So it was all ready by the time we landed in Bangalore. And day one, we went to the factory.
Got it.
It was like kids were young, but then we didn't want to lose any time. So we kind of dived right in, the very moment we started the factory, went to the factory. So, and then the first thing was in Bangalore, where we started with 20 women. Um, and then we sort of then moved to Chamrajnagar,
Got it.
which is a rural part of Karnataka. So that was the place that had the highest unemployment and no rainfall. So, I mean, a lot of rural parts of India have agriculture
Yeah.
as their occupation. So this place didn't have rainfall also. It was a dry place. So we thought, why not start something here?
Yeah.
And we partnered with a local NGO, which is GSS. They are a large organization, social organization. So we joined hands with them, and they provided the place, and they helped us, talk to the local women. And yeah, they started coming in. Initially, there was a bit of resistance, but then, yeah, they started coming in, and yeah, that's how
It's
the
true.
whole thing started.
So maybe also understanding a little bit about on the professional side, right? Like, so at the time of the move, you are already into an entrepreneur, right? I think you were no longer working in a professional or corporate world. And,
Correct.
I think you mentioned, sounds like I think you had some planning that was done beforehand. Like you have the factory already set up and good to go by the time you move, which means then you
Yeah.
have planned
Yeah.
something. So it's like you have this idea and you started kind of implementing
Correct.
just ahead and
Correct.
made the move. Okay.
Correct. Correct. So we started a company there with an Australian partner. This was called AEC Offshore Trading Private Limited. Australian Export Connection was the thing. So we started that, and one of the companies wanted to import certain craft things
Yeah.
from India. So that's when we tried our hand at importing. This was nothing to do with manufacturing.
Yeah.
We just spoke to some companies that were manufacturing. They were mostly handicrafts and some craft, if we want to call it. Yeah, nothing what we do today, but some form of craft. So we imported that into Australia. So that was, yeah, just one import that we did. But then it strengthened our resolve to go back and have greater control on the whole thing. And we
Yeah.
thought we could definitely, do what we always had in our mind, to go back and do something, some social impact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think maybe just while we're on the same topic, I would love to hear your experience, right? Especially from someone who lived abroad, where the systems are much more well established, processes, ease of doing business is much easier. Starting something in India, again, especially in 2004, it would have been a different experience. So, from your own experience, like how was that? If you can give an overview, and also where do you see that now compared to what it was in 2004?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, now things are so different, but back then, um, now it's all digitalized. Back then, I told you, this partner of ours, we wanted to establish the factory, this partnership factory in India, where we were going to have a foreign investor. So that process itself took more than a year.
Wow.
So it just didn't happen. And, the partner lost trust and it all fell apart. Just the delays were unbelievable. So everything, I mean, getting to know what you had to do, it was all very, very, difficult. It was not as easy as it is now. Now it's a breeze compared to what we went through. So I think the bureaucracy and, all the delays were something that were completely unexpected.
Yeah.
The only thing was, okay, let's go do something, but the reality kind of was a little different once we moved. But we kind of persisted. We thought, okay, if there is no partner, that is absolutely fine. We were going to go ahead with our resolve. So we weren't going to give up on our dreams, or the passion that we had. So we just persisted. What it meant was everything took longer, much longer. You need to have a lot of patience in doing anything. But yeah, eventually things got better. Today it's a much different India. It's a digital India where things happen easily. Yeah. So if somebody wants to come back today, it's not that difficult to come and start something.
Got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It never occurred to you that, hey, let's move back. It's too much of hassle. Like, things are slow. I'm just curious. Like, it never occurred to you or your husband or the family.
No, no. I think that's the beauty of it. I mean, we a lot of our friends also tried moving back, but they had one foot in India, one foot in Australia. It never works that way.
Hmm.
It never works when you compare India to another country. You have to take India as it is. For every thing, if you think, oh, traffic is like this, traffic was better there. The government is like this, it's better there. It's everything. I mean, the food is better there. Whatever it is, I mean, I don't think we spent any time. There was no negative energy.
Yeah.
So that it was like a wholeheartedly we came here.
Yeah.
We wanted to make this work.
Yeah.
So this positive leap of faith was what I think helped us stay back and sort of iron out any challenges that came across.
Great.
We just wanted to make it work.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think comparisons don't help.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Makes sense. Just want to
yeah,
definitely understand, and especially, working is a different, but building something as an entrepreneur when things are not
right,
so smooth, that's much more challenging. So in terms of,
right,
the day-to-day life as well as like in a new environment and all that stuff. So let's switch gears a little bit. I'd love to hear about, your children's journey, right? And, how they adapted and, which
right,
curriculum did you put them in and, the
yeah,
education and what, the higher education, the colleges they're doing. If you can talk a little bit about that, that is very helpful because they moved about 20 years ago, 25 years ago, they went through this journey. So just definitely
right,
would love to hear about their adaptation, how they, what they
right, right. So, yeah, the younger one was still very,
done. Yeah.
very young. So the older one, so coming from there, we didn't want to put them in very westernized schools. That was a very conscious decision. So we thought, okay, we coming from there, we're getting away from the Western world. So let's put them in something more local, more you know, uh, regional kind of a thing. That was a conscious decision.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we put them in schools near our place. Yeah, Aurobindo Memorial School, which was, yeah, more Indian focused kind of an education. So we got them into CBSE system.
Yeah.
Yeah, not the state or the ICSE. And initially, there was a lot of resistance from my daughter. So it was like, why did you bring me here kind of a thing. So she found it very difficult to adapt. Children wouldn't understand her accent back then. I mean,
Yes.
now there is, it's a borderless world. People here are exposed to all the Western ways, and accents are never a problem. People sitting here know everything about every other country. But, back then it was pretty difficult for her to make friends
Yeah.
because she sounded different. and her ideas were different. But then I think it took maybe a year or so, and slowly she started understanding, and she made very good friends. And then the other one also joined the same school, and they have grown up to be such amazing people. So my older daughter has started her own business, her own venture. It's called Cosmics. It's a plant protein, but it's a business of supplements,
Yeah,
and they do plant proteins. It's a very popular brand, and she's proud of who she is and her upbringing and everything. So she and her husband run that business. And the younger one now heads Itsy Bitsy marketing. She did media and communication here. The older one did engineering, industrial engineering. And they both are very entrepreneurial, uh, and they have grown up to be really beautiful daughters, beautiful human beings. So I think we are very happy with the decisions that we made. And they're proud to be here. Yeah,
fantastic. Glad to hear. And
yeah, yeah.
congratulations for the, like upbringing and, make them. I mean, that's the proudest moment for any parent. So,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. I mean,
So,
somewhere you feel you've done the right decisions
yes,
when they are successful and they are happy.
yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's when you kind of realize your decisions
Yeah.
are, are right. Yeah.
One tactical question, if you're open to talk about. So I'm assuming your daughter was born like an, Australian citizen, and so when she was going for colleges, right, like an engineering college, like I think you mentioned about industrial engineering, so that's what I'm guessing. So I am guessing she might have done the like Indian entrance examinations to get into the colleges, like the
Correct,
gate and all that stuff.
correct,
So,
correct.
there are a lot of these questions about, the quota, right? Where does this, kids who are born abroad, is there a special quota for them, or they go in the regular, merit based? I don't know, based on your experiences, if you can shed a little bit of a light, because this is a common question for a lot of people where the kids were born abroad and which curriculum to choose, whether to choose with CBSE or IB, study abroad or study in the Indian colleges, like how competitive they would be and if they would be able to settle. So if you can share a little bit about the process, like is there a special quota or is it a part of a regular process, especially for a foreign citizen kids in our Indian colleges?
Right. So before she got into engineering, she was already, I mean, they were here for, you know, so many years. Like you were supposed to be here for 7 years or something to get into the system through general merit.
Okay,
So I do not know how it is now, but back then they just had to take the exams along with the others, and she got in through the merit.
got it.
Although they, like when they came, they had the OCI,
Yeah,
they had the PIO, which later became OCI. It was replaced by that. And I think probably if you're just fresh from another country, I think from abroad, then you will have to have a different quota. That didn't apply to us back then.
okay.
So yeah, it didn't apply in our case. And
So maybe I want to circle back to our initial discussion, right? So the main purpose of the move was the social impact. I think that was one of the
yeah,
main driving factor. So if we can
right.
summarize, I think in the last 20 years, you have gone through different, as you rightly said, like the roller coaster, like, and some of the challenges, some of the successes, but it's keep driving because of the, several factors, like, the impact that you can make, the changes that you can do to these women and all. So if we can summarize the social impact and how do you rate yourself, like, the goal that you had when moving to what you have done, and anything specific from a social impact side that you can tell from an NRIs, right? So maybe someone couldn't move back, but they can still do something, or someone, planning
Right.
to move here, you can do this. Maybe, stats from your own experience and some advice. I think that would be very valuable.
People from cities can always, they are educated, they can always find jobs. They have the skills. For them, getting jobs is not a major thing. So our focus was these women from rural because they do not have what their counterpart in cities have. So rather than displace them from their homes in the rural and bring them to a city where cost of living is very high and displacing them from their own comfort homes, so we wanted to take jobs to their place, to the village, rather than bring them to the city. So that was the whole focus. And I think India needs more and more businesses that can do some impact. In there's still a long way to go. I mean, today we support 3,000 women directly and indirectly, but then I am sure there's a lot that so many people can do, and there's a lot that we can do going forward. So I think that is in a country which is largely populated. I think this is what is kind of needed, giving the rural needs to grow on par with the urban. That is when India can grow as a super economy. So that is what we call what we do as a urban rural partnership,
Okay.
where what you do in the rural can benefit the people in the urban, who in turn support their livelihood. So every store that we open, we can support some more women. And so it's our combination of our export and our retail stores. Um, and we also are into wholesale in India, B2B.
Yeah.
So we are now in quick commerce places like Zepto, Big Basket, Swiggy, everywhere else. The way people shop has also changed now. It's no longer, opening one store and sitting there. So I think we just need to, gear up if we have to sustain what we started.
Yeah.
So to continue to create the social impact, we would like to, sort of generate more employment and support more women. That is the goal. And we would appreciate if more people who are living abroad can do their own bit in their own industry.
Yeah.
There are opportunities in many industries. We chose this, but I'm sure there's a lot more thing that people can do.
Got it.
Yeah.
Great. So thank you very
Yeah.
much. So I have maybe
Thank you.
two or
Thank you so
three
much.
questions, and I would love to hear quick responses. I think these are your in a nutshell, like
Yeah.
a rapid response questions kind of a thing. So what is one thing you wish you knew before moving to India?
I would say bureaucracy back then. Back then. Yeah.
Got it. And
Yes.
what's your advice or strategy for future returnees? How they can adjust in Indian work culture. I think you might have seen. So just wondering any advice that you can give to the people on how they can adjust in Indian work culture.
Yeah. So it depends on the industry, the kind of manufacturing industry we are, there's probably a little different. But if it's a tech-based industry, it's pretty much like the Western world now. You have work from home, you have hybrid model. So work culture is not very different compared to what it was ages ago. It may take a little bit of adjustment, but I would say that you need to come with an open mind. Every country has its own advantages and disadvantages. Come with an open mind, and I'm sure you will enjoy the new India.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
What's one thing people assume about moving back to India that's not true?
Probably culture fit, getting back. There's a big, there is a culture change, although things have changed. From when we came back, things have changed a lot. Uh, Thanks to the digitalization, the Netflixes of today's everything. It's kind of a borderless thing. Everybody experiences everything. But if, there are certain pockets of India which are very westernized, where there are a lot of expats. So in Bangalore, for instance, if you were to live in Indranagar or certain other places where there are a lot of NRIs that have come back, there are more people that can relate to you, or you could relate to them. There are many pockets like that in India. I mean, there will be in Mumbai, in Hyderabad, in Kolkata, everywhere there are NRIs. So you might have to find pockets where, you can relate to people who have come back.
Yeah.
So yes, culture thing probably is a concern, but I would say that it's not an issue. I think coming back with the open mind is the biggest thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Got
We
it.
didn't come with much of an expectation.
Yeah.
And I think that is probably
Great. Thanks a lot. I think the key thing that you mentioned before also is the comparison, right? When you have certain expectations, you always compare. I think, having that open-minded, having
yes,
a strong reason to move back. I think those are the two important things, and not to have feet on two countries. So it's easy to give up when something is not working.
yes,
I think, yeah.
yes, yes. If
So,
you have an option of giving back, then you give it up easily.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great. So thank you very much for taking the time and sharing your journey with us, and all the best with what you're doing, especially like empowering 3,000 plus direct and indirect women in rural areas. It's amazing, right? I think what you can do as an individual, that's a huge, right? I think, if all there are multiple people, I think that helps in making an impact. So, wish you all the best with that. And thanks a lot for taking the time and sharing your journey and inspiring us on what we can do to make an impact within our own circle of influence. So, yeah, really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to share my story with, your audience. And if it can help, even one or two people in making their decision to move back to their own country, that would be worthwhile.
Definitely.
Thank
Yes.
you. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Thanks. Have a
Yeah,
great day.
appreciate it. Yeah, thank you so much.